The United States of America is the greatest country in the history of the world. Our founding fathers understood that what makes a country great, it isn't necessarily its land, it's not its wealth, but it's the people that reside within it. No time in history before them had there been a constitution or a legal document set forth to govern a nation that relied on the individual and personal freedom and personal responsibility. That is the ideology that made the United States great and continues to make it great. But as we go forward, we see that that's changing. We stand on the shoulders of giants, whether it be educators in the past, whether it be our forefathers, whether it be our veterans that fought and died for our great country, whether it be mothers or fathers that raised generations of great children, whether it be entrepreneurs that created jobs, whether it be the slaves that were freed and went on to become successful and do their own job to prove that if they were left alone, they too could succeed. Those ideas of personal freedom and personal responsibility and the great ancestors we have before us have made us what we are today. We don't want to be the generation that lets that slide. Today we see that it's been going on for decades, that normal Americans and their personal freedom and responsibility has slowly eroded away. This is because all of our cultural institutions of power are dominated by the establishment, and particularly an establishment leftist ideology. This means that things like hard work and personal responsibility have been replaced with things such as victimhood and claiming that you're perpetually a victim and that's somehow worth something. A normal American works 9 to 5 and they just want to be left alone by the government. I've grown up in rural Pennsylvania my whole life. The people that I respect, the people I think are the salt of this country, are blue-collar workers that I see every day, my family and friends. Whether they be truck drivers, welders, they hunt for recreation and for a livelihood. Whether it be carpenters, whether it be educators or people in the service industry. These people just want to go to work, provide for their family, have a good life, and be left alone. Where is their voice? They've been drowned out amongst a chorus of the establishment left that controls all of our cultural institutions of power that shape the public narrative. Whether it be the mainstream media, which comes almost 95% from the establishment leftist perspective. The same is true of academia. The same is true of our entertainment industry in Hollywood. And you could also say that of the people that control Silicon Valley and many of these social media corporations. Imagine it. You work 9 to 5, you come home, want to relax, you turn on your local news. All of the information you get is from this establishment leftist perspective. So you turn the news off and maybe you get ready for your night class that you're taking. That academia is almost entirely coming from that establishment leftist perspective. So you say, you know what, I just want to forget about it all and tune on some television, something entertaining. So you turn on a late night comedy show. All of it's dominated by the exact same ideology, this establishment leftist perspective. So then maybe you go onto Facebook or Twitter or YouTube in order to talk to people that maybe share your life experience. But again, those are all ran by organizations and companies that come from that same establishment leftist perspective. And make no mistake about it, this isn't the leftist that's my friend or my neighbor that I'm talking about. These are oligarchs, these are people in the establishment, the deep state, or whatever you want to call it, that are really the movers and shakers and control the direction of our country. They don't care about normal Americans. The idea that it's left versus right, sure, there are things we disagree on, and I'm honest in this channel that I'm coming from the right. But I welcome my friends from the left that understand also that this corruption in the establishment needs to be fought. Until we fight back against this corruption, it doesn't matter if we're Democrats, Republicans, none of it will matter. Because the people that really control this country don't care about me and yours voice. The election of Donald Trump was the first time in my life that we see the possibility of outing the corruption of this establishment. And yet, and despite this, we see that the establishment is laughing. They think that they're still winning. People like James Comey that ran the FBI as a personal mercenary squad for the Democrats and Barack Obama laugh as they escape indictment after indictment, even as their crimes are made public for all to see. The media covers for them and celebrates this corruption. Academia and the entertainment industry in Silicon Valley go along with this. Where are the voices for normal Americans? But there is good news. There are people that are rising up. There are people that are running for office. There are people that are doing independent channels. There are people waking up by the millions that understand how corrupt this system is. Just the Iowa caucus starts to show many people on the left that didn't want to see it, how corrupt the DNC and the establishment is. We should be reaching out and talking to all these people and making allies to fight back against this corruption. My channel is about being a voice for normal Americans, whether you're a blue-collar worker in rural Pennsylvania that's been maligned as clinging to your guns and Bible, that's been called a racist deplorable, Or maybe you're in the inner city and you grew up in a single parent household and you've been told you're a victim your whole life and you're just trying to succeed, but everything tells you, no, you're a victim. Don't try to go out and have personal responsibility and achieve on your own. Or anyone in between. This is a show for you. We are here to discuss the issues of normal Americans, to bring truth to everyday people that it's been hidden from by the oligarchs that really control our country and the establishment. They need to control the flow of information and all of those cultural institutions of power that I mentioned in order to make sure that they could pass their agenda, because they know the secret. If the normal person, if the average American were to find out how corrupt this was, they wouldn't stand for it. The way we win this battle is by bringing information to the millions and millions of Americans that have been lied to, that through the sweat of their labor, through their hard work, have enriched corrupt politicians, have enriched corrupt people in the media and other corrupt people that aren't elected to office like these bureaucrats, that have outsourced our wealth to other countries to further enrich the politicians that send that wealth over there. If the average and normal American wakes up to this, we can begin taking back our country. The war will be fought with information. That is what my channel and so many of the channels I'm associated are trying to do. That's what we're trying to do today. So please, I encourage you, follow my channel, support it, follow other independent content creators, follow the people that I'm connected to, and even if you're on the left, follow independent content creators on the left. But take away this gatekeeping power of the establishment to control all flow of information. Real people with facts and truth on their side do not hide from the First Amendment. We don't hide from open speech and open debate. We'll bring diverse opinions on. We'll bring people that disagree because we understand that we're about the flow of information and allowing everyone to make up their own mind. We do not need to censor voices like the establishment. So I welcome to my channel, the Normal America channel, and I hope that you'll enjoy yourself. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good one. Hello. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You're at the Patriot Super Panel. This is episode 5. I'll be your host tonight, Rob Noerr. We had some technical issues getting started. Probably my fault as usual, but no problem whatsoever. And we're going to get right into the show. So what we're about here is bringing independent content creator voices, conservative voices that are showing the corruption in the establishment and trying to censor information that's getting out from people like you, normal Americans. So I'm going to get right to it. We're going to start with our great guests. They'll tell you a little about themselves. First, we'll start with right to the right of me, American Joe. Thanks for being here, man.
What's up, brother? How you doing tonight?
I'm enthusiastic and ready to go.
Well, I'm just I identify today as a straight white conservative Christian male, and I don't give a crap about your pronouns, but I just go to YouTube and I speak the truth as I see it. I talk a lot about conservative values and my King of Kings Christ on my channel. So if you like Trump, if you like conservative values, and you like Jesus or love Jesus, then come on over to the American Joe Show and hang out.
All right, excellent. Yeah, American Joe's actually basically the brainchild behind this whole thing because he realizes the importance of getting like-minded voices together to challenge the establishment. So as always, thank you for that. Next, we have Mike from the Patriot Hour. Welcome, Mike. Hope your evening's going good. Oh, sound, Mike.
Mike, you got no sound, buddy.
There it is. All right. I had muted myself for the whole intro. Sorry. Yeah, real quick. Thanks, Robert. Love being here. American Joe put this together. I've had American Joe on, been on his channel, Robert as well. He's been on, Ryan. It's been great. I want to say thanks. Loved all the Patriot Hour family that is here supporting this Patriot panel. All of us people here are truth seekers in our own way. We cover many different things. There's a lot of lies out there. We just try to dig through all that. And I believe the same, the old way of approaching our neighbors or our friends at work and family of screaming at them, I'm right, you're wrong, you're evil, I'm not, now listen to me, has to change. And the dialogues, facts need to be spoke. So I'm with you, and that's all we're trying to do. So I'm happy to be here tonight.
Thank you very much. Yeah, awesome as always. The next person right below me is Dronetek. Dronetek, the first time I tried to do a live stream, I literally was just stumbling about, had no idea what I was doing. I had one viewer. It was Dronetek, and he talked me through it. And ever since then, we've been helping each other out. So thank you so much for being here, Dronetek.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, since we're identifying as things, I think I'm identifying as a 90s era Sega CD game. But my channel is basically just calling out media corruption, media bias, and I believe that people should just turn off their TV. I think that the cable news and the network news are dividing this country to the point that none of us can ever agree on anything anymore. We're probably heading towards some sort of a conflict, and they obviously push an agenda for one political party, and that's dangerous. They're supposed to be the fourth estate and check on government. They're being a check on government, but only for one side, and they're being heavy-handed to one side. So if you don't trust the media, if you watch CNN, MSNBC, and all these channels, and you just get pissed off, just let me watch it for you. Come to my channel, and you can see me mock them and expose them for the hypocrites they are.
All right, yeah, and you do awesome. You do awesome there.
Yeah, you do.
Lastly, we have on the far right on the bottom there is Mike Nificent. Mike, I just met last week, and I think his show's awesome. I've been checking it out, so thank you so much for being here, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me. As you described me correctly, I am on the far right. I'm what they call, a right-wing extremist. It's very obvious, and people will see that if they subscribe to my channel. You will be radicalized with the truth. Just be aware of that. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram if you just type in Mike Nificent. Basically, my channel is simple. I just tell the truth on the internet, and it goes viral. I did start like the walk away campaign. I didn't start the walk away campaign, but I'm one of the original videos that blew up and everything. I've been on InfoWars. I've been on Sean Hannity. I've been on Mark Levin. I've made the rounds on YouTube, and pretty much what I do is just expose left-wing hypocrisy, their double standards, their lies, their dishonesty, and their onslaught of propaganda that they're using to subvert American freedom and democracy, and all the things that they're doing to destroy this country. And I'm a proud, unapologetic Trump supporter.
Awesome. You might have noticed in the middle on the bottom there was Matt Couch. Matt is shocked by how passionate we all are. He's speechless there. Now, he wasn't able to make it, but he's a fantastic content provider as well. What I wanted to say here real quick as we get started into our topics, please go to the description of this video. Every single one of us that are on here, including Matt, you'll have links to our YouTube, and those of us that have DLive, you'll have access to our DLive account. Please subscribe to all of us in those platforms. DLive, there's some bugs that needs to be worked out, but they're not censoring us. They're not trying to demonetize us and things like that. So if you really care about fighting back against the establishment, it's really important to like and subscribe on all of those sorts of platforms. So I know, American Joe, you've just started a DLive platform. How's it working for you so far?
So far, well, right this second, 666 followers. I do not like that number, so I need somebody to follow me very quickly to get off that number. But I've been on here for a couple of days, and I had a station with Dex and Adam Fugal News, and they're trying to bring a coalition together of people. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you link up with Marfugal News over there on DLive. I'm talking basically to you guys here on my screen. We're going to build a big coalition over there. They're doing great work, and they're in the prepping area of life. They do this giant prepping audience, but they got a lot of reach. They go, and they're not really political like us, necessarily, but they've got a vast audience, and they're doing a lot of good to help other content creators. So if you're on DLive, I recommend you hook up with Marfugal over there and let him know if you know me, American Joe, on the way over there.
All right, that's awesome. So yeah, we got a bunch of topics to get through tonight. I thought the first thing, if anyone's watched my channel in the past couple of days and knows why my voice is hoarse, because I've been screaming about the mistreatment of Roger Stone compared to Andrew McCabe getting left off the hook, and my feelings that Bill Barr is not doing a very good job of outing the corrupt people that we see that's obviously corrupt. So I want to start with you, Mike, at the Patriot Hour. I know this is something that you've passionately followed. What are your feelings? Do you think that at some point Barr will get to charging these people, or do you think it's something that we may never see in this term with President Trump, or maybe even in our lifetime?
Well, I'm a firm believer in actions speak louder than words. Bill Barr has said a lot of things that sounded good that were going to line up with Trump. He was kind of mirroring what Trump was tweeting. I got tons of clips of Barr at dinners or formal speaking events. So on one hand, right now we're hearing Barr isn't doing nothing, or there's been several people let go. But then on the other hand, you have over 2,000 lawyers now, or ex-Justice Department people, calling for his recusal. And just the hypocrisy and how quick they come out. Nothing's even happened yet, but it's like, recuse. I mean, if you look at Mueller, he had business deals with Trump outside in the private sector that were bad. Trump admits that they weren't the worst he's ever had, but they were bad enough to create issues to where you wouldn't. And then Mueller came to him to be the head of the FBI. I'll take the job. Trump's like, no, you won't. And then a week later gets appointed to be the head of this special. So where's the recusal for that? Or with Romney, he raced to be Secretary of State, aligned with Trump in the beginning, but then we just saw what he did. So Rod Rosenstein, his wife ran, Hillary donated. Where was a recusal of the investigation? So people call for recusals. I don't know what to make of it all. There's a lot of information that you have to take in and look at. But I mean, the big thing is it's been going on for years. This whole, there's no justice really since the Hillary. I mean, we can go back further. I mean, in the Obama administration, Benghazi, Fast and Furious, the Hillary server, the Uranium One deal, all the way to the them exiting that, Comey coming out, and then it moved right into Trump. I mean, it's much of the same, I would say. The only difference is we have Trump calling it out the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Mike.
Yeah,
I hear you. Mike Nificent. What do you I agree. As though I feel that, I don't know. Part of me feels that I don't think Barr's going to do anything. I really don't. But then I hear what the Patriot Hour is saying, where it's like, well, 2,000 plus former DOJ officials come out and they speak up and say that Barr should recuse himself over the Roger Stone thing. Do you think that shows how deep the deep state is, how expansive it is, that 2,000 of these people are coming out complaining about him recommending Roger Stone not get 7 to 9 years, but they didn't have anything to say about the IG report and the FBI being corrupt, about Comey, Brennan, Clapper, McCabe lying? Do you think that shows that they're part of this deep state, or are they just ignorant of what's going on?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't really watch a whole lot of the circus that is the deep state. And I know there's a lot of moving parts, and it's actually kind of confusing, hard to keep up with everything that's going on. But I do think that actions speak louder than words, and we just haven't seen the action. So I keep my expectations very low that we're going to see high profile arrests. This is why I kind of just blocked out the whole QAnon thing. I was really caught up in that for a while. I was like, oh yeah, QAnon, trust the plan. Trump's got this elaborate plan to take down the deep state. And I'm like, man, I'll believe it when I see it. I have not seen it. Hillary Clinton still walks the streets freely. Nobody has any accountability whatsoever on the left from top to bottom. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not thinking William Barr is going to bring people to justice. I don't see it, man. I feel like Trump is a one-man show. And after it's gone, after Trump is no longer in office, I mean, maybe we'll get Trump Jr. I have no idea, but it's a very deep swamp. And it goes all throughout all three branches of government. Luckily, Trump has appointed some judges in the judicial branch or whatever, but That's it, man. Like, it's just pure corruption. That's really all it is. And I don't know how anybody can sit here and pretend like there's going to be some kind of accountability. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry I sound negative, but I'll believe it when I see it. When these people are brought to justice, then I'll believe it. But I'm
why do you have to see it? Who's going to do it?
Why do I have to see it? Who's going to do it? I mean, I don't. That's the thing. I'm saying I don't think it's going to be done.
Well, everyone says everyone says they want to see it, but you know, people say Trump should arrest somebody, but Trump don't arrest people. He don't have handcuffs. He has to order the head of the FBI.
That's just my perspective, man. I just don't see it happening.
I agree with you. Well, I know. I mean, you're not going to go arrest because you don't do that. So you have to watch.
Well, and I think that, and this is something I've been talking about with people online, is I don't think this is, because some people are like, well, if nothing's going to be done, then I give up on Trump. I don't think I think Trump, look, even if you take the most cynical view of Trump and say, oh, he's not concerned about outing the deep state, it's clear to me he hates these people that engaged in a coup against him, and he wants them brought down. So the question is, he can't do it himself, so he has to appoint people. And Joe, I know this is something we've talked about. How is it possible, with the deep state being so corrupt, for Trump to find qualified people that he could trust? It seems like whoever he appoints ends up backstabbing him as soon as they leave his administration.
Yeah, I mean, who do you trust, really? I mean, there really is no way to trust anyone out there in Washington. So the only way Trump's going to ever find people he trusts is to surround himself with people that he knows, and that's probably why he took so many of his family members into the administration with him.
Right?
Because
that's right.
But if you look at look at the way Washington has responded to the Trump presidency. They have basically lost their damn minds. They have basically been trying to do everything they can do to crush him in 3.5 years. So they're not happy with him being where he's at. And it has nothing to do with his the projection of racism, white supremacy on him that they put out there. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's the fact that they know that, he's a dirty fighter, man. He will get down in the mud pit with you himself. And he's very vengeful. He will freaking hold a grudge against you and come at you. He'll just hold on to it, man. And he'll hold on to it, and he will get you, man. He will get you, So I wouldn't be surprised. You give him another 4 years, you see some of the damage he'll do to some people in there. So we'll see. I don't think we're going to see any major arrests. We're never going to see Hillary behind bars or anything like that. I mean, if Hillary ever got close to being arrested, half of Washington hanged themselves over the weekend. So it was just never going to happen.
Well, then that's exactly when you were talking.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I will tear up the Constitution if that doesn't happen then, because I will ride everything on my channel that there are going to be arrests. It's not a matter of believing in QAnon. It's about, if you're in the intelligence gathering, like I've been in the past in the military, you look at the information. And you explained it there well, Mike. You said you don't look into this whole circus very much, but these are actually where the players are at the top of the Illuminati, the actual, not the ones behind the veil, but the front players that they put out for us to juice around with. So I still don't know who's who. We can only watch. Will Barr stop the coup? Because that's all I have asked the other day in your channel, Robert, when I called in.
Right.
Do you guys all think there's a coup, or there was a coup to stop Trump from getting in, a coup, an active coup?
Yeah.
So if you believe there was, who's going to stop it? Barr and Durham are the last resort. We've gone through a bunch of process, a bunch of court. Mueller could have stopped it. There's been 6 investigations, I believe. Any one of them could have stopped it. So going off the past, yeah, we can assume like nothing's ever happened ever before. But also, we haven't had a president for 3.5 years calling out the people. He lines up with Barr now. If Barr doesn't do the right thing, then I think Trump starts tweeting crap about Barr. And it's just another person we can add to the list that didn't stop the coup. I move past that would be, if there's nothing left, Trump has a right to use the Insurrection Act of 1871. Abraham Lincoln used it as well. And look why Abraham Lincoln used it. Look at certain states in the Union, what the people running the states or different Congress people were speaking out. We had a division in the country of the government. So a coup would be inside the government trying to overthrow the duly elected president. Trump has every right to stop that. If Barr doesn't,
right, and
that's fine. If Barr doesn't, we can put Barr where he belongs.
What I see with Barr is I can't figure out why he's not arresting the obvious criminal behavior we see in front of us, even if he wants to get them for more serious crimes down the line. I think it's our job, if it comes down to Barr doesn't do anything and something like the Insurrection Act comes up.
Folks, is us getting everyone to know what's going on.
That's right.
Because if Trump gets put off or put out of office or any of that, we know what these people have done. I mean, I've looked at the evidence. I haven't listened to CNN or Fox News. I've looked at the actual paperwork. I've separated myself from other people. I don't listen to a lot of other analysts because that's how you look at intelligence. You logically look at it and you logically come to the facts, and it points you in a direction, and then you follow that. You follow the paper trails, the money, and you get to the facts. And all they're doing is hiding it. Trump will declassify everything. Trump will declass everything because he hasn't been around for 30 years. Why in the hell does he care? He hasn't been there for 30 years. He doesn't have a history. So once that we can we can lead the horse to water, can't make the horse drink it. So even when declass comes, we're not going to read it.
Well, Robert, you said arrest them now and we'll get them on crimes later. What are you talking about?
So what I hear, people that are Trump supporters that say, well, the reason they didn't get Brennan, Comey, McCabe, Clapper for the obvious crimes like lying to Congress that we could all see with our own eyes were committed is because that would somehow jeopardize the bigger case of the seditious and treasonous acts that they had with FISA abuse and things like that. I don't buy that because to me, that's counterintuitive to every investigation that I've ever seen, which is you charge people with the lower level obvious crimes that you see, and then you tighten the screws on them to get more evidence for the big crime. So that's
I would put it like this. So think about it this way, Robert. You have Durham doing an investigation of his own, and then you have another investigation being done over here. People for that investigation decided not to charge him. Barr doesn't get the paperwork for every single crime. To look at Comey when he acted like he didn't know much about the investigation into the presidency, but yet he was heavily involved. We know he was, or he should have been. So you're listening to deep state players sometimes tell you things, or
but I just don't like this notion of arresting someone. I said the same thing when they did it to Trump. You don't investigate a man and then investigate him for the crime. You either believe there's a crime and you investigate crime. You don't arrest the man and then find the crime later. That goes against everything about how our judicial is supposed to work. And they did that. Did it to Trump or anybody. So I don't want anybody to be arrested on some small in the anticipation they're going to dig deeper for something else. I don't like that idea.
No. It's not that you're setting. They've said, for example, and I'll get to you right here, Dronetek. For example, the 2000 DOJ employee said that Roger Stone deserves 7 to 9 years for lying to Congress. I could prove to you in 5 minutes that McCabe, Brennan, Clapper, and Comey, all 4 lied to Congress. All 4 of them. All I want is equal application of the law. If the law is going to be, we don't think lying to Congress is that big a deal, so we're not going to charge Comey and Clapper, etc., then why is Roger Stone and Cohen and Flynn, why are they charged? If it's going to be, it's a serious crime, so we need to charge Flynn and Cohen and Stone, then why are the people in the establishment allowed to get away with it? And Dronetek, just bring it to you. You can weigh in here. I think that the Patriot Hour is absolutely right that if what it's about is what can we personally do to let people know about the corruption. I know you focus a lot in the media. What have you seen with like the media that are foaming at the mouth over Roger Stone and Barr stepping in and saying only 3 to 4 years for him, compared to how they treated situations like the IG showing that the FBI abused the FISA process over and over, or Comey and Clapper and all them getting jobs at CNN after they lied to Congress?
Right. I mean, that's the problem that we're dealing with here is that even if there was something really going on in the Trump administration, everybody's so hardened in their corners because they can clearly see that there's this 2-tiered system of justice apparently that we have here. I mean, like you said, that kind of a sentence for Stone is kind of crazy. I mean, considering like rapists and murderers can get shorter sentences. But, they're all calling, you saw this thing, 1,000 former DOJ officials are calling for Barr to resign. It's like more theater again with throwing these huge numbers out. it's like all this theater that they do against Trump always involves these big vague numbers that you're just supposed to like, oh man, 1,000, 10,000, oh wow. But when Obama was president, and I'm not, it's not a whataboutism, I'm just pointing to this as an inconsistency, but when Obama was president and Hillary was under investigation, he went on CBS News and said that he didn't think that anything that she did posed any national security problems. I mean, how's that not way worse than what Trump did? Trump got on Twitter and just sort of gave an opinion. Obama straight up going on CBS national news and saying that. So yeah, I just, and I'm with everybody else that doesn't think anything's going to come of this. We've been fooled so many times. I'm just, at this point, I'm so pessimistic about it that I just don't think anything will happen.
American Joe, just real quick, last word on this topic. How do you recommend telling people to stay motivated when they see kind of the people that were engaged in such heinous things against Trump continue to not just not be punished, but they're basically rewarded? They get book deals. The more they backstab Trump, even the people that left his administration, the more they're rewarded. So how do you keep yourself motivated to be out there and like? I know
that's
the answer.
Easy. That's easy, man. That's easy, man. Trump is winning, man. He has not stopped winning for 3.5 years. Everything they tried, I laugh because every single thing they try to throw at him from 2016 till now just slides right off like water off the back of a duck, man. It is a beautiful thing to watch, and you always love watching them get all worked up, and they're like, "This is it. It's a Ukraine phone call." You should have heard the Young Turks, man. Chunky Yogurt over there was so happy about this Ukraine call. He could not contain himself. It was awesome. And I said that as soon as he made that video, I go, dude, Trump is walking away from this like he walks away from everything. And I find it very easy to stay motivated because I have a president that just keeps on winning. So easy for me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the walls have been closing in since literally Inauguration Day. So
yeah, right. Did you ever see that montage? They put the walls are closing it. The walls are closing.
Medieval walls are closing in.
Yeah. So speaking of winning, let's go to our next topic. American Joe, I think this is right in your wheelhouse. The Virginia Senate. So for those that don't know, the Virginia State House passed what would be what they called an assault weapon ban, though I guarantee not one person that voted for it could define what an assault weapon is. But the Senate has now put off voting on that bill until next year. Do you consider this a victory that it's been put off, or would you have liked to have seen them scrap it immediately? I have mixed feelings on what would be better. What do you think?
Well, they punted the ball because of the election, obviously, so they don't want
right.
to. They're trying to save face and try to get reelected, obviously. But it is a tiny victory because if Virginia can win back control from those dirty Democrats, then they can make this all go away. So it is a tiny victory. And, speaking of identifying an assault weapon, you had Mark Levin, not to be confused with the great one, not the great one, Mark Levin, the little rodent Mark Levin in Virginia who identifies an assault weapon by the way you hold it in your hands and the way you wave it around. That's how he identifies assault weapons. So, yeah, you have people who know nothing about firearms drafting legislation about firearms. It's irony upon irony. And finally, people in Virginia are waking up. So.
Mike, I know this is something we talked about the last time I saw you on the panel. What do you think we could be doing a better job to reach out to people in communities that particularly maybe traditionally haven't thought about gun rights, like people in inner cities, even LGBT community, single women? These groups tend to vote against the Republicans, but I think that many of them would actually benefit more from the Second Amendment to protect them just as much as us regular people that are defending the Second Amendment, the traditional groups that defend it.
Well, I think you have a lot going on as far as like Black Guns Matter, Coalition Noerr. They need to see people. Unfortunately, it has to come from somebody that looks like them instead of just listening to the idea. But it does go a long way to just getting the messaging in front of them, talking to them about things that matter to them most, safety being one of them. I mean, most Black people that live in inner cities, they know that there's already strict gun laws in place. And those are essentially just criminal empowerment zones. Criminals will go into areas that they know that people are law-abiding citizens, so therefore they're not protecting themselves with guns, and they can just run roughshod. They can set up shop in these communities and make it unsafe. for kids to go to school. Look at cities like Chicago, where stray bullets are flying left and right. Kids die doing their homework. In cities like Chicago and St. Louis, they got to sleep in bathtubs so they don't get hit by bullets. That's ridiculous. So I think if you just talk to them from a safety standpoint and just let them know that gun rights are human rights, right? If you want to talk about like women's rights, gun rights, I think the Liberty Hangout girl talks about it a lot. Like women protecting themselves, a gun is an ultimate equalizer. I think if you just break it down into those terms, then they'll stand behind it. It's really not hard. There's really not a whole lot to it. It's just really talking to people about what's important to them, letting them know that gun rights are what keeps them safe, not just in their community, but from a tyrannical government. And then when you talk about how corrupt the government is, like a lot of people, how they say, oh, Trump is a dictator, he's a tyrant, he's all these things. It's like, okay, but you want him to take your guns? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, exactly. You want the government to have the guns. You want them to take away everybody else's guns, but that's taking away your guns too. Why leave your safety to chance when you know when seconds matter, cops are minutes away? You know, I talk to friends about this a lot, that they are so anti-gun. I'm like, so you're just going to call 911 if someone kicks in your door? Like, nobody cares about your safety more than you. It's just really as simple as having a conversation with people. And I do a lot of that on my channel, not necessarily on the Second Amendment, but just on a variety of topics. I think that's a way to go.
Right. And I said, that's what I was saying in my intro video. To me, this country is the greatest in the history of the world because the idea of personal liberty and personal responsibility. And I think that message reaches every demographic. That's how we win every demographic. And just a quick reminder, if you're listening and were interested in this, the first gun grabbing that occurred in this country where they tried to remove the Second Amendment was to the freed slaves. It was the Democrats saying, we don't want these freed slaves having access to firearms. So if you're in the black community, remember, the same people that are telling you now, give up your guns, they've been doing this for hundreds of years. Dronetek, I think I'm always amazed and disgusted at the same time at how the media portrays gun violence as this one directional thing. Anytime that someone could be likened to Trump or a supporter of Trump or a Republican does something, then the violence is blamed on the individual. It's Trump's rhetoric. But anytime that there's violence that occurs to someone who wouldn't be a Trump supporter, they blame the gun. Do you think that sort of thing is a lot of what's, convincing these people in demographics that, guns are evil because the media is pushing this corrupt narrative?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just their narrative is obviously anti-gun, and so the stories that they report and the way that they frame those stories are all encompassed around that narrative. And so what kind of drives me crazy is you see that same sort of double standard when it comes to reporting on mass shootings. You see it when they try to say, more mass shootings are committed by white males, and they try to deflect to that as an issue. When you actually break it down, you look at it, they're cooking the stats. Mass shootings, they usually don't count gang shootings, and so that doesn't get counted into it. And so not only are they deflecting onto this white boogeyman, but they're not dealing with this real problem of gang related mass shootings that occur pretty commonly around the country all the time. It's kind of surprising to me actually that they don't talk about that more, because it would be, they could use that against the Second Amendment and their narrative, but I think that they don't, just because it kind of clashes. It's like intersectionality. They don't want to demonize black people, and so they don't.
Right. No, I agree. Patriot Hour. One of the things that I'm amazed about is, look at Virginia, and they're trying to pass this assault weapon law. The latest numbers I could find from the Government Accountability Office were from 2017, and it said that there were around 130,000 felony attempts to illegally purchase firearms. The federal government only prosecuted 4. Not 4,000, but 4 out of that 130,000. Does it seem to you like this effort at gun control legislation, because they're not enforcing the laws that are on the books, it's totally geared towards disarming law-abiding citizens so that they can further engage in corruption?
Yeah, they're saying that this panel of people have had this written up for, or the legislative in Virginia has had this for 20 years. It's just been revamped year after year, and then they finally got in control of everything. So it shoved through. I don't know about this whole waiting a year. They booked it, like you said, till I think they're going to try to slide it through, hope a lot of attention's off it, let things cool down. I don't know. Mike brought up a good point with, the left is calling for taking your guns, every one of them up on the stage in some shape, way, or form. But yet people are trying to throw them at Trump. If Trump bent down and picked them up, then they'd yell, "Look, he's Hitler. He took the guns." And he'd be like, "Well, no, you guys threw them at my feet. I'm just picking them up," and it wouldn't matter. That's what they're trying to portray. So it's a sad situation, and I believe every bit that if we wouldn't have got Trump, and we'd be that much further down the path under Hillary right now. I think we'd have a ton of states have already flipped. I think it was some kind of a planned little thing there to get all the guns. So that's a heavy mission. If we don't have any justice in the government on what's going on, I don't know how much further on that, actually, on the Second Amendment we stand if we keep getting the Democratic Party, the ones anyway that are screaming what they're screaming. So everything's an assault.
Yeah, I don't understand why we can't point to China. Like, look at what's going on in China, both on the mainland and in Hong Kong. That's why you don't want to get rid of your guns, folks, because then you're completely powerless to do anything. They have all the leverage, the government. You got nothing.
I agree.
But you heard Joe Biden. I mean, what is your gun going to do against a Hellfire missile, people? Wake up.
I know. Yeah.
Swalwell was going to nuke us.
And it's nuke. Yeah.
Mike Nificent, real quick, do you think that this being punted to next year, is this something that could actually help the Republicans? Because at the state level in Virginia, if I was running as a Republican right now, this would be my entire campaign. Just like, look, if you don't vote for me, they're going to take your guns.
Man, if the people of Virginia don't flip over all the things that have happened in the last year, then that state might as well be California 2.0. I mean, you got the blackface governor, you got the lieutenant governor with the sex assault case, you got the attorney general blackface, you've got the infanticide extremism, and now you've got this radical gun confiscation plan, and then they're punting on it, not because they're serious about passing gun safety laws, but because they want to get reelected. Politicians' goals are always, number one, get elected. Number two, get reelected. So they don't care. They're not serious. The people of Virginia will wake up. They're seeing it. It's crazy. It's insanity. Even before this, they should have already been starting to lean to the right. So yeah, if the Republicans are good there, and I don't know who those politicians are, if they're good at messaging and effective at campaigning, and using memes and being like Trump, that's what politicians need to do now. That's why Mike Bloomberg is paying for memes, because it's effective. It's essentially a campaign ad. If they can do that and they can be effective in their messaging, yeah, of course Virginia can flip. I mean, Virginia was a Republican state, it was a stronghold, so it could easily go back.
For 20 years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
for 20 years.
And just to give you the last word on this, American Joe, I believe that what you all did in Virginia, the great patriots that went down there, did make a difference. And it showed not just the nation, but the people of Virginia are not willing to accept this sort of tyranny. Do you think that we need more displays like that around the country? Because there are tons of states that would blow your mind that have red flag laws, that have assault weapon, or different gun laws to restrict on our Second Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, New Mexico just passed a red flag law. Colorado's fighting a battle up there. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So I just think we need to stay on message, stay on point, and be vigilant, and do not hesitate to spread the word that any places that Democrats control anything, they will end up just destroying the whole damn place. I mean, you're talking about hypodermic needles flooding the streets, homeless populations out of control.
The plague.
I mean, it's just yeah. They're bringing back the black freaking plague. Only the Democrats could resurrect the black plague. Okay,
dude, leprosy.
Yeah.
Doesn't love food streets.
Oh, that's bad.
Absolutely. So real quick, we got I say we do this last topic real quick. We'll get everyone's minute and a half take on it, and then we'll take some phone calls. But I promised Mike Nificent we would talk about Bloomberg and the idea that Look, people complained about Trump being rich, but in reality, Hillary outspent Trump 2-1. Trump, his success had to do with his charisma, his messaging, his energy, not so much that he puts billions of dollars into his campaign. Mike, do you think it's frightening that for the first time I could ever remember, we literally have a candidate trying to buy an election with his vast, tens of billions of dollars?
Yeah, man. I mean, as somebody that's relatively new to the political scene, this is crazy to watch it unfold in real time. It just seems like he came out of nowhere. Ever since, I want to say, right around Thanksgiving, he was flooding my TV, my Facebook feed, and my YouTube videos with ads. He's been everywhere. He's outspent every single candidate. I can't even tell you the last time I saw a Bernie ad, quite frankly. Every single ad I've seen, including videos criticizing Mike Bloomberg for him trying to buy the election. He's got ads placed in those videos. So what is social media doing about this, right? They're all about, well, we don't want interference in the election. We want a fair and free election, but they're not capping the amount of ads that one candidate is allowed to use on their platform. He's pretty much monopolized everything. Like nobody's going to be able to outspend him. I think that, it's incredibly dangerous. If you look at where he's at right now, I mean, he's not following the process. The DNC bent the knee for him, changed things so that he could qualify for the debates. The same DNC that's like, oh, we need candidates of color and diversity, but we're not going to do that for Cory Booker or any other candidates. Bloomberg, oh, no, we can change the rules for him to get him on the debate stage. And he can buy all these ads. He can pay for influence. He can do all this stuff. And it's just really kind of scary. It's eye-opening. I mean, what is he polling in third place nationally?
Right.
He pretty much skipped out on the Iowa caucus and New Hampshire. And he's just like, let's just cut to the chase. I'm Mike Bloomberg. I can outspend everybody. I can do what I want. I will buy this election. I would not be surprised if he hasn't figured out a way to buy votes, like literally buy votes, not in the way like vote for me, I'll give you money. It's like, I'm going to pay you money before you go to the booth to vote for me in a roundabout way, right? Like, oh, I'm going to donate to this charity that does this and that. He'll find a way to do it. It's crazy because who can really stop him? But it also just shows how corrupt our election process is. And it shows also the
Alex Yang, which Alex Yang offered $1,000 to every American, and he got the boot. So
they're all bribing.
Yeah, maybe Bloomberg could just offer his own
doing.
I saw a disturbing video of Bloomberg yesterday. Did you guys see that video circulating around where he's up on stage?
About the farmers?
Was it farming? Like
where he said they don't have any
arm in arm
matter,
with somebody? No, he was like singing. He's singing and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one. He looks like a showgirl. Very nice.
Very, very.
Hey, before we take calls,
I wanted to say one thing about it when you're done.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I just wanted to say one thing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan, real quick.
I just wanted to say one of the things that's really interested me about all this is the fact that he's got his own news agency, which you don't really hear a lot about. I mean, it's out there and everybody knows about it. But, he actually ordered his journalists not to be critical of him. And you got a news network that's already leaning left and is already not scrutinizing Democrats. And then you got the rest of the media. And there have been a few things. New York Times did a little article about Bloomberg News. But you're not really hearing a lot about it. And it just kind of blows my mind because can you imagine? Trump has talked about wanting a news agency and they all flipped. Bloomberg's actually got one. And he's actually like telling them not to report critical of him. So that just blows my mind. And I just wonder how that's going to play out with the rest of the media.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, Bloomberg, people, you can't really buy people's influence and votes. But for everybody on Dlive, I'm at 687 followers. If I get to 800 by the end of this show, I'm dropping 4 Ninja Guineas in that treasure chest right there. I'm just telling you, 4.
Yeah, and
I have no idea what that is.
Right.
Well, they do. They know exactly what that is.
So I will just
But
take
you
this
can't buy
before
them.
we go to calls here. Dustin, if you're about ready to take calls. Yeah, I just want to remind everyone again what this is about. I think that this has been an awesome show so far. The calls will be awesome. They always are. Please check out the description under this video if you're watching on YouTube. It has links to every one of us. Please follow us both on YouTube and Dlive, the ones that have both of the links there. It's very important to support independent content creating and to diversify where we're at, because I know, like, for example, you, American Joe, you've been shut down on Twitter, right?
Yeah, just for life though. Once I'm dead, I can get back on Twitter.
Oh, okay. Well, then you can vote Democrat too once you're dead. So
Exactly.
I was
That's
going
my
to say
plan.
the same
That's my
thing.
That's my plan. Yeah.
We
So,
are
yeah,
all
it's a-
safer
but
from
that-
you not being on Twitter.
yeah, that could be true too. So it just goes to show you the importance of following people on multiple platforms. So, and lastly, I wanted to ask Matt Couch, what was your feelings on Bloomberg? He's shocked, speechless
Oh,
again. My goodness.
speechless. Look at him.
He is a
He's
great
in
guy.
awe.
Check out his channel too. So yeah, Dustin, if it's cool, we'll take some calls. I do ask you, if the call board lights up a lot, can we ask you to try to keep your question to maybe seconds to a minute? That way we could get as many callers as possible, and leave people have some responses. But I don't know if you can hear us, Dustin. Can we take some calls?
Oh, he's making a sandwich again.
And you do have a super chat if you want me to read it. It's from
Oh,
Great
did I?
Informer.
Yeah, I'm not-
Go ahead.
Yeah,
do
he
that.
said,
Go
"Follow Normal
ahead.
America with Robert, The American Joe Show, and Dronetek Politics. Tell George Soros and Michael Bloomberg where they can go."
And
Thanks,
also,
Robert.
he
Appreciate
probably
it.
had a text a limit. Also, follow Mike Nificent and the Patriot Hour as well. But thanks,
Yes.
Great Informer. Very well. Okay, if Dustin's not there to take calls, one of you guys want to text him real quick?
Sorry about that. I just realized my
Oh, that-
mic was off. Christian from Iowa, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Did you hear me?
Thanks. Yep, you're
Yes,
on the
we hear
Patriot
you.
Super channel.
Great. Yeah, listen, I was at the Iowa caucus as a Republican, and I decided I've been watching YouTube, and I've been following Q since November of 2017. And I decided I've watched so many YouTubes. It's time to get up, get off my ass, and go do something about it. So I've joined I got voted in as a part of the steering committee meeting for the Republicans, and I'm going to represent my county at the convention and the district and the state. And I want to let you guys know there's only one of you that I've been listening to, and I'm excited to check out the rest of you. But Mike from Patriot Hour, I've been watching you for a long, long time. And
So you got tired of
appreciate everything
all
you've
the
done.
corruption? You got tired of all the corruption, and now you're out there doing something in real life?
Yeah.
What more could we ask
And you know
for?
what?
That's
I have
exactly
a plaque.
what we
I've made
want.
500 business cards. And I said, do you
Awesome.
know who Q is? And then I give my email and my name on the back of it and 3 suggestions of YouTube.
Question everything.
And so-
Question everything.
and
All
I-
right.
Exactly. But I want to tell you guys, you were a little too negative for me when I first started listening just a few minutes ago. And I'm not going to put up with that.
Oh,
We
hey,
people,
everyone's got their-
regular people, I have a
everyone's got their
husband
own
that's fighting
opinion.
cancer for 10 years. And listen, you guys, Q is real. And you have to understand that it's taking time. We can't go after all these people. How 140,000 sealed indictments
Well, look,
and not have
Q is real, but
all the T's crossed and the
look,
I's
Q is
dotted.
real.
Or else
Is
they'll
he
lose it.
right? All right. Is he right? And that's the other thing. A lot of the wrong Q dialects come from people that run channels and have their own input. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of people have their own agendas. Let's put it that way.
Well, and let me say,
Well, I
what
believe
you-
that they are going to be taken down.
I
They
hope
will
you're
And
right.
I believe
If
Barr
not,
is doing an
if
awesome
not,
job.
I'm done. I'm not. I'm.
That's
there is
right.
no more for me. I'm done. I'll rip up the Constitution in front of every one of these panel members and piss on it because I'm
No.
done.
We'll even
And
we
then
will
you guys
keep
get
fighting
mad
no
at
matter
me.
what. And let me just say, I appreciate that. I know I've had a lot of people telling me very similar that I'm too depressing for them. Let me just give my case real quick in 30 seconds. if I'm wrong and that Q or Barr or however you came to that truth is going to take out all the criminals, then me being pessimistic, one, I'll be happy to eat crow. You'll see me on here saying you all were right. I'm sorry I was so negative. Let's celebrate. It'll be the best me eating crow that will ever exist. Because I want that corruption ended. But if you're wrong and if the corruption isn't dealt with, then we need voices that are constantly putting pressure on, look, we need to take down this corruption. And so what I think is, it's just like a football team. Like, yeah, the New England Patriots are probably going to dominate the Cleveland Browns. But if they go into that fight thinking we got this wrapped up, there's only a chance something bad could happen. If we go into the fight saying we are fighting for every inch, we're fighting for every yard, we want to score on every play, then I think that leads us to the best possible attitude we could have.
Yes.
But I get it, and I hope you're right, Yeah,
ahead, and I think it's me. You can blame me for bringing this up because I'm the one who said Q. And to be fair, I'm not trashing QAnon. I know QAnon is real. I mean, I've watched some QAnon channels, ones that I've weeded out and found some good ones. I'm not against QAnon at all. The only reason I mentioned it is because that's where I got all the information of like, there's an insider, Trump's
trust the
saying
plan,
all the stuff, trust the plan and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is very interesting and intriguing. And then the Epstein thing happened. Huge ball drop. I'm like, what is this? Okay. So this is part of the plan somehow. Oh, it's actually still, this was meant to happen. I'm like, okay. I'm just going to take a break. I hope that I'm wrong, but I just don't see it. But I'm not saying you're wrong, and I hope you stay wrong. I want to be proven wrong. Prove me wrong. QAnon, if it's real, I just want to see action. I'm an action-oriented guy. I just want to see action. I don't want to see posts. I'm going to say game over. That's it.
Yeah. I would say this, like, there's very few people, like good people, I think, like Nunes, right? He's all with that something's coming. The people that there's very few, I think, to line up and say that nothing's going to happen is almost lining up with like CNN and all the other mainstream channels, because that's what they're saying. Nothing's going to happen. So not to throw that back at you guys, Robert and stuff, but you guys kind of line up with the fake stream by saying nothing's going to happen when there's very few saying that something is going to happen. So what's your defense on that?
Well, I mean, my defense would be that
the old pattern of the norm that nothing happens.
Well, it's part of that, but it's also part of I'm just looking at this with what I bring into my life experience and with common sense. I see, for example, I could prove to you in 30 seconds that Clapper lied to Congress twice. Yeah, and I know all that. One of the statutes. Right. So I can't figure out if I'm willing to accept that, yes, everything, the hammer's going to be brought down and all these criminals go to jail. If I'm willing to accept that, I can't see how charging Clapper for that crime in any way, shape, or form would jeopardize that plan. In fact, it would only enhance that plan. Not only that, American Joe's on the border. He's in Virginia. Patriot Hour, you were in Virginia. We're all doing what we can on our channel. It's hard for Trump to get his agenda passed because of all this corruption. A win right now, arresting, not targeting a person and going after them because we don't like them, but actually blatantly seeing a crime and saying, here's equal justice. I think that would motivate people to go. Maybe we would have won the 2018 election. All of a sudden, Trump's agenda would be so much better than having to fight these ridiculous charges of impeachment because the Democrats won the House. So that's
they're not going to go to jail. You're coming to the conclusion they're not going to go to jail by Barr.
Right. That's exactly right.
That could be very true. But so then what is your conclusion that Trump would do after that? Does Trump quit tweeting that he's been
might
tweeting
be too late.
for years?
I mean, what if it cost them the 2020 election? I think Trump's right now he's way ahead. But, if you allow, who knows if you allow these corrupt co-conspirators to stay there until the 2020 election, what they'll be capable of. But we should probably take another call. Go ahead, Dronetek, if you want to add in real quick.
No, I mean, the reason I don't think anything's going to happen because I can see the media already setting up this narrative that Trump's an authoritarian and he's taken, democracy is dead and all this stuff. So when if he did actually arrest anybody, the media, I can already see them going apeshit. Excuse me. and treating it like, you know, he's Hitler rising to be a dictator and arresting his enemies. So
it'll be a military coup.
Right. Thank you for the call. And I think I speak for all of us on here, even Matt, who's pretty silent on the subject. Yeah, I think I speak for all of us when we say we are hopeful that the corrupt are brought to justice. It's just how.
Yeah, we can all agree on that. Some of us don't think it's going to happen. Some of us hope it better happens.
But we're all on the same side. Yeah. So, okay, Dustin.
All right, we got. Yes, we have Sean from California.
Hi, Sean. You there? Sean?
Yeah. Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, you're live. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I know I'm calling from the mouth of the lion, basically. So I usually don't dare to say anything around here, being completely surrounded by leftists and Democrats. But I think it's high time I say something, and then that's why I'm calling in. First, I want to take a quick moment to thank you all for what you're doing. It is difficult, if not impossible, to overstate just how important it is for this country. So thank you. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
I want to say I've been following Mr. Ducote's channel for quite some time now, and sorry that he's not on tonight. I was kind of hoping that he is. So please wish him well. I'm extremely well caught up with his content as well as what's going on in the mainstream. So my question was going to be focused on Mr. Ducote, but realistically, it can be open to all of you should you find the subject interesting. Okay. So my question is this. You know, we've spent a lot of time criticizing those that would seek to undermine and destroy this country. I don't see enough discussion about potential allies, though, and that's what I wanted to bring up. Two people that, in my opinion, are very important. So have you heard of John Mark and Kurt Doolittle by any chance?
I have not.
No, I have not.
Right. So John Mark is a YouTuber, and his mentor, who's a philosopher, is Kurt Doolittle. Kurt Doolittle. He doesn't have his own YouTube channel, but he does do live streams similar to yours. So really check out John Mark. I'm not trying to advertise him or anything. I'm a completely independent person. I'm not affiliated with him, but he has very interesting content that I've actually kind of seen in your live chats from time to time. People mention things that are from his content, and they completely pass everyone over. No one seems to be kind of noticing, but I thought I'd say something.
Give us an example.
So
give us an example of something that.
Well, like for example, in last week's show about which was, what was it, episode 3, episode 4?
4, yeah.
Somebody in chat said actually mentioned the word propertarianism, which is clearly something that's straight out of John Mark and Kurt Doolittle's vocabulary. And again, but no one really noticed it. And I was just really curious, again, if anyone's heard about them, because they're trying to be allies of the grassroots right wing. At least that's what they purport to be. And I was going to say, I'm really hoping that Mr. Ducote could do a video maybe basically giving his opinion about whether he thinks they are legit allies, because I think they could have possibly a lot to offer, or they could be, not worth your time. I don't know. But I think knowing more about them could be very valuable for your cause.
All right.
Does John Mark, does he wear a motorcycle helmet?
Yes, a red one.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep, okay.
Yeah, and I want to add one thing, that they were, both him and Mr. Doolittle were both at the Virginia Second Amendment rally. There's actually video of them. And that's another thing. Like, I know Mr. Ducote was there himself. I don't think they would have known each other. I don't think they would have encountered, but they were present at the same event.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for the call. I'll check it out. I wrote down the name, so I'll check it out. Dustin, you got another caller lined up?
Yeah, so next up we have, let's see, I can't read the first name, but it's from Des Moines, Iowa. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Joelle, hi,
you're live.
Joelle. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yep, we hear you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you could. I'm Joelle.
Well, hey, Joelle, you're live on the air. What's going on?
Well, I was just sitting here listening to a lot of the stuff. The one guy on the one end, not you, Mike, but the other guy, that about all this stuff that you guys are putting out there. And I'm sorry. I know you guys want him to just go out there and start arresting people and doing all that. But vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. He's the one who says it's his time, not our time. It's not when we want or what we're going to do. It's what God wants us to do. And as long as we get down and pray for our nation and pray for our people, like we should, all of us patriots should be together and praying that this will stomp the enemy down. And if we don't, then the Lord can't do his work because we all don't have faith. We don't trust in the plan. Whether there be Q, whether there be no Q, it doesn't matter. The point is there is a God. There is the Lord Jesus Christ, and you know it. The faith is that we believe that he will take vengeance on all these people, and sooner or later they will be locked up because they're just being exposed for right now, and it takes time for them to get,
Well, look at these people at their own rallies. Aren't you seeing these people at their own rallies now getting like Joe Biden, Adam Schiff when he's walking into his congressional meetings in California? They're getting attacked by their own supporters, fed up, pissed off. Exactly. So it's working regardless of what anyone says. People are being awoken to the lies. Let's put it that way. So the whole thing is they won't be able to walk the streets at the end of this, regardless of how it turns out, because there'll be too many pissed off, awoken Americans.
And
it's already there. It's already there.
You're right.
Talking about religion. So talking about religion with this, like, I also believe that God wants us to do what's best and act with personal responsibility as well. So in other words, God doesn't say, well, have faith that you'll end up in heaven. So go ahead and live however you want because you have faith in God. God says you are known by your works. You are known by your actions, what you personally do. So in that theme, what I'm doing is when I'm pessimistic, I'm not saying that I don't want these corrupt officials to be brought to justice. I'm saying I'm doing everything in my power, fighting tooth and nail to show the corruption, not to be wishful thinking, not to say, oh, I don't like Comey, so I'll make stuff up about him, but to show here is Comey's corruption. I can see it blatantly. I don't understand why he's not being charged with a crime right now. And I think that there's a danger in saying, oh, we shouldn't get worked up about that. We should be totally accepting of that and just have faith he will be charged. Because to me, if someone was setting up, allowing the corrupt to get off the hook, this is exactly how they would prey on us. They would say, just have faith. Don't worry. Don't worry about going out there and pointing out the corruption. Don't worry about getting angry that they're sipping wine and getting $1 million book deals while they continue the coup against Trump. Don't worry about it because it'll all work out for you in the end. So I think that we need allies on all sides of it. Those that are coming at it from the I have faith it'll work. Those like me that are like, I hope that you're right, but I'm going to keep doing what I can to make sure that that's what happens, that they're brought to justice.
Let me follow up on that a little bit, Robert. I'm not accepting it,
and I'm not really accepting this. I'm not saying sitting back and saying, okay, I'm just going to let God do it all. No way. There's fasting, there's prayer, there's fight, there's putting on the armor of God. There's all of us going out there and sharing and tweeting and getting all this stuff out. We're not just sitting on our butts, but there is a way. You have to be praying in order for God to do what he has to do. You got to let God and let go. But in the meantime, go ahead and spread their lies. Go ahead and tell the truth. That's what he said. Let the truth be known. But the vengeance is for him, not for us. It's God's vengeance on the people that have taken our children from us and who have sacrificed them and killed them and sexually abused them. I'm angry. I stand up for what I say. But the truth is that God's vengeance, not ours. We need to pray and do what we need to do to fight this fight. That's plain and simple. That's how it is. It's very simple. If you read the Word of God, you're putting on the armor of God. And the Holy Spirit will guide you to where you need to go.
I
and
don't
that's it.
disagree
That's
with
why I'm yelling.
Thanks for calling in.
But I don't
caller.
I don't sit back. I don't sit back and lay back. Believe that. And I don't accept it.
I think we understand what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, there's one thing to have faith in God's plan, but also understand that we are a part of that plan. So having faith in God's plan is not sitting at home and just waiting for it to unfold. Having faith in God's plan is also being very active spiritually and in the world we live in politically. I believe Christians should be very involved politically. I mean, look at where our country's at. I mean, we've aborted, 60, 70 million children. We have the bodies of children scattered across this landscape of this country since 1973. And we're a Christian nation. We're a Christian nation. So, yeah, we have a lot of work to do. But I do agree that, faith in God is the first and foremost. Our godlessness in this country, which has been said on this panel many times, is our biggest problem in this country.
All right. Dustin, another call.
All right. So, guys, the phone line's open. We had a couple callers drop off while they were waiting. So if you want to call in, the number's right there on the screen. Right now we have Kenneth from Virginia. I believe he's called in one of the shows before.
Thanks for being here, Kenneth.
That's me. Pretty good. How about y'all?
Good.
What's going on, brother?
Good.
Speaking of corruption there, where I live, yes, the councilmen, they are corrupt to the core. Along with them is our police department. I have talked to both until I was blue in the face. I have went to my representatives, such as Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, which that was basically a waste of time. I went as far as sending a letter to the White House, explaining the situations in our town. And, of course, I get one of these Dear John letters. We received your letter, and we will look into it, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure a Democrat probably got it, but, besides that, we definitely need to get these Democrats out of here. Also, I like to bring up a post from our good friend Douglas. I'd like to say a few prayers there for his friend Rusty Mossies. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I don't want to get into too many details here, but I think it was last night he posted that he was in the ER with his friend and was basically asking for prayers, if y'all would mind, saying a prayer tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no issue.
So, and just so everyone, thank you for the call. Just so everyone knows, Doug will be back. He is dealing with some stuff right now. We're going to rotate who's on the panel anyways, but Doug's clearly, one of the heart and soul of the panel. He'll be back. And I'm glad that we get so many people calling in that are missing him. I miss Doug too. He always has good points. So, I don't know. How long do you guys want to go? I'm probably going to do a stream after this. I'll be up until 1, 2 in the morning. So the time doesn't matter to me, but for you all,
I can go a little bit longer
too.
A little bit, 1 or 2 more calls. Okay.
Yeah, and we've got we've got another call in the queue. And just so while I'm waiting for their name to come in. That's what Doug had to go down to Texas to Brownsville. It was a guy named Rusty Monsees who was in one of our border mini docks. He was a landowner there, and he was in the hospital, so Doug went down to help him, and the guy doesn't really have any family, so Doug was helping him out, but he will be back late tonight. and be doing his show tomorrow. And then on Thursday, he's going down to Texas to campaign for Maria Espinoza in Texas, District 7. She's America First candidate who is running in the Republican primary. She's the lady who organized all the angel families that campaigned with Trump and had been in the White House. So he'll be with her on Thursday. Just came in. Dave from Massachusetts. You are on the line.
All right, how you doing? I watch Mike a lot from Patriot Hour, and I was just going to say I don't think any arrests are going to happen until after the election. There's no way he's going to mess everything up by trying to do arrests before he gets elected again. What do you guys think?
I think if he gets reelected, he'll probably see it as a mandate, so that there'll probably be a better chance of that.
Mike Nificent, you shared pessimism, so do you want to respond to that?
I mean, I think that makes sense. It's something that I actually hadn't considered, that, you know, once he's in his second term and he doesn't have to worry about everything, you know, hopefully with a Republican-controlled Congress as well, he can do a lot more, not even just on the arresting criminals front, but on the actual doing things for us front.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of policy that's been hung up, you know, by the Democrats. They're not doing anything other than obstructing and trying to investigate. So I think a lot will happen in his second term. So that's something I didn't consider. I mean, I'm all for whatever happens. I'm just saying that it hasn't happened yet, and I haven't seen any evidence that it will, but that doesn't mean that it won't. And people are saying we're being pessimistic. We're just calling it like we see it. That's pretty much it. That's all we can really do.
And, you know, for the first 2 years, President Trump did have everything, and he had all the control he needed the first 2 years of his in office. He had the Congress, but he didn't have re-election sealed up yet. So he took some measured steps forward, and he didn't have full eyesight on the depth of the corruption those first 2 years. And I think now he's got a really good vantage point on the levels of corruption and who his enemies are. So I think the caller's spot on. I think after the election, I think we're going to see, that tombstone quote, tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me.
Yeah. I will add.
Also,
I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll add this real quick. So on Biden, for example, I saw a meme going around the other day, and it showed Biden and how foolish Trump was to get impeached over him because he's doing like fourth in the polls, and he's not even the main runner of the Democratic Party. So that's one way to spin it. But the other way would be, is he fourth down because he was projected to be the main front runner? Actually, when Trump first came out talking about the Ukraine, they were yelling that he was, Biden was his most political enemy, and he was most likely going to be the front runner. And here's Trump trying to take out this political person over a crime. And so maybe because of the noise that we all make, all of us here at this panel exposing, going through this, is that's why Biden's suffering. That's the way I like to look at it. Now you can look at it the other way, like, oh no, by chance, Biden's just doing crummy. That's delusional. He's doing crummy because of our job, what we've been doing. That's bottom line. Nobody can convince me.
Well, plus he opens his mouth. Whenever he opens his mouth, he pretty much kills himself.
He talks about his hair.
Is this color a horse-faced pony soldier? Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
But what is the guy thinking?
I'm thinking another reason we have to wait is because we need more support of the Democrats. I mean, that's the mistake the Democrats made. If you want to impeach Trump, you needed like half of us to join you. And by not giving us the wall and not giving us anything we want and ripping up everything, they're never going to get the votes to impeach him. So we can't make the same mistake as the Democrats. We need a lot of Democrats on board, and they're already turning. So we can't do this too soon. We have to wait till we get more support from their side.
The current batch of Democrats in office, there is no chance that any of them backtrack off of their coup attempts on Trump. You might get a handful, like your Joe Manchin might flirt with it, but the Democrat Party needs to collapse. And if you're a Democrat out there and
Yeah.
you're listening, you ought to be rooting for Trump to crush them so that someone who actually cares about you could come back into your party, because they don't care about
Rebuild
you
it from
at
the
all.
ground up.
They are corrupt.
Yes, well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah,
Wait,
that's
thanks.
perfect.
Thank
Look,
you for the
Trump
call.
said it today. Trump said he will be known for his exposing the corruption. So not known for building the wall, not known for, I mean, even if he does all that stuff, but he said he'll be known for exposing the corruption.
But I mean, what you guys do is great. And if you saw the New Hampshire rally, a lot of those people were Democrats that showed up. So it's definitely working. They're seeing the light. It may be taking too long, but they're seeing
the average person, right? And I think this brings up a great point. We should differentiate from your neighbor that's a Democrat, and they might disagree with you on policies, but they're not totally insane, versus the establishment Democrats running the party that hate this country. Like, there is a difference, and we could reach out and get potential allies. Let's get the corruption dealt with. Then we could convince you that your kind of socialist policies are insane. We'll have that debate later. But the number one thing is outing this corruption. Yeah.
Well, I think a big
thanks so
problem
much
with the
for the
Democrats, real quick, is that you have like Twitter Democrats and then real life Democrats. And these Twitter Democrats think that the outside world is like Twitter. And I think that they might have a little rude awakening coming on that.
Those are Russian bots.
Right.
Yeah, Massachusetts is a blue state, but we got a lot of immigrants, and I think there's a lot of voter fraud going on too. We got a lot of immigrants and a lot of Democrats around here. There's very few Trumpers. I've only seen two MAGA hats in 3 years. That's how bad it is.
Well, hey, thanks so much for calling. We really appreciate it. And yeah, definitely a great point. So, Dustin, we got one more call.
Thank you guys for everything you're doing. Don't stop. You guys are doing great. Don't stop.
Thank you.
There we go, Joe.
All right. No, actually, the last one, there was two in the queue, and they dropped off. I don't know if they were waiting too long. I mean, there's some stuff, and I don't know if you guys are watching the chat, but somebody had a comment from Mike. They said, Mike, you said Trump today said that he is going to be known as the president to expose the corruption.
Yes.
Yeah, and they said he won't be known, like as you said, the president who built the wall, locked her up, or had indictments because he didn't do any of those things.
Gotcha.
That was one of the callers?
That was one of the callers' messages, yeah.
Damn. Well, we have to wait. We have to wait 8 years, you know? I mean,
so
we have to wait till he's out of office to see.
So I don't know. I've still got the board open if you want to see if somebody else calls in the next couple minutes, or if you want to wrap it up, it's up to you guys.
Look, there was people writing books on day one when Trump got into office. Things Trump didn't get done, but it was on day one that he was in office.
Yeah.
But what I say about it is, again, this is what I'm stressing. If I don't see why, I'm not saying Trump, I'm saying Barr. I think Trump was convinced by the people around him, let Bill Barr do the work. And so he's let Barr work and nothing's getting done. Now I get Durham's still out there and maybe Durham will charge on these other crimes. That's a possibility. But I could see, I'm just some guy on a chair. I don't have special connections, and I could see with minimal research, absolutely unambiguous crimes committed by Clapper, McCabe, Comey, and Brennan. And we have millions of people that aren't woken up to this corruption. How great would it have been for Barr to just say, hey, this is totally separate of the Durham investigation. Clapper, you clearly lied to Congress. It's cut and dry. You're under arrest. I'm not saying throw the guy in jail for 7 to 9 years. I'm not an insane Democrat. But still, if he was punished, how much better would that go to showing the average American person, yes, there is corruption. Yes, Trump's doing something with it. So that's all I'm saying. It could be.
We got those arrests. Yeah. We got those arrests around Trump people. We got those kinds of process crime arrests, right, to show that that the justice does work. If you lie or something, you're going to get in some trouble.
Right.
So,
all right, you've got a guy. It's Rob from Indiana.
All right.
Hey guys, it's the group. How y'all doing?
Hey, how's it
good,
going?
Rob? Rob,
can you guys hear me?
We can't hear you now.
Yeah, we hear you good. We hear you good.
All right. I just want to make sure you're good to go. Just something real short. You guys may have brought it up earlier. If I missed it, I apologize. But I just think that any Democrat that may be watching the show or anywhere else for that matter really needs to wake up and realize one thing of many, which is the powers that be are not on your side. Their goal is to first divide us, which they've been doing a good job, unfortunately, divide and conquer. They really need to get that through their heads, and I'm sure you guys agree. If you want to expand on that, go ahead. I just want to give my 2 cents.
I think what's happening in Iowa is cluing in a lot of Democrats that, you know, they talk so much about protecting the institutions and all this, and yet everything that's going on in Iowa or that went on in Iowa is seemingly corrupt. I mean, they're saying, these insiders are saying that the app wasn't meant to break or anything, but it was meant to be used as a scapegoat, so that they, you know, for when, you know, Biden was going to be the front runner. So, you know, I think if honestly at this point, if Bernie's not the front runner, I think there's going to be a lot of Democrats possibly coming over to Trump's side.
They had 25 in the beginning, right? 26. How many coins fit into a slot machine anyway? I mean, and then you get Bloomberg in. I mean, it's wild. 27 different people, and they still don't really have juice behind one of them. Something's not.
I've been
like a circular firing squad over there.
Right. I've been telling my friends on the left, because believe it or not, I have friends for one, which maybe some people don't believe, and
You're
some
lying.
on the left. But I've been telling them for years now. I said, don't cheer for this corruption. You think I don't like Trump, so I'm okay with the corruption against him. This will be used against your candidate, just like it was against Bernie in 2016. And they said, no, it could never happen. It could never happen. The corruption is so blatant. Any Democrat, any Bernie supporter could see. Well, I mean, you would hope they're supporting Bernie, so you know, you would hope that they'd be able to notice that it's corrupt, that they're screwing them over. And our job should be to reach out to those people and say, look, we disagree on a ton of stuff, but you should demand that this corruption be ended, and you should be against this Democratic Party. That's the problem, this Democratic Party and the establishment behind them. So, you know, that's what I've been saying. Mike, like we were talking earlier, right? Like, look at Bloomberg. The Democrats are the party of their two frontrunners are a guy that thinks it's immoral to be a billionaire and there should be no billionaires, and basically the wealthiest billionaire that they could find. That's the two frontrunners. Like, you can't coexist like that.
Yeah. It's a conundrum.
You guys mind if I interject real quick, and I'll let you go?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Michael, Rob, the rest of you guys, I watch you constantly, and I appreciate the work you're doing. I know I speak for many, but keep up the good work, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
brother.
I'll let you go, and thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks so much, Kriko. Yes, so I think maybe we should start to wrap up here. So I'm going to make one more plea.
Yeah, you got. I was going to say you've got one more. You want the last one, and then we'll.
If you guys are cool with it, I am. Like I said, I'll be up on it.
Yeah, fine. All right, so this will be the last call then. So don't bother calling in. That's it. Over. This is Angel from Arizona.
Hey guys,
how's it going?
I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. Great to meet you. I followed American Joe for quite a while, but it's nice meeting all the other 5 panelists on the stream tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So basically, I wanted to discuss about people in general and acceptance, because one of the things I've learned from the Democrat Party as the independent Trump supporter is that they are not really there for us as Americans. That they continue to blame Trump for his so-called cages and kids when that picture is from 2014. But in reality, they want to put us as conservatives in a cage. And I was already in a cage myself for 10 plus years when I had a guardianship over me. And over the past few years, I've been trying to be more independent and such. But my guardian kept on saying, no, I'm not ready. I can't do this. I can't do that. And now I'm my own independent person. I've learned what the Democrat Party is all about. And I've always tried to prove to people that I can do it, because I'm a 29-year-old who is autistic. And I just get a lot of grief from people, like, who is this? Who the hell is this person? What is he saying? like I get a lot of grief from people, and they don't even know what my diagnosis of disabilities are. And over the years, I've been trying to be more accepted around people, and the only people that seem to accept me are the conservative people like American Joe, Pete the Patriot, Douglas, and even Harmony knows me pretty well, one of your mods in the chat.
That's amazing. I do a lot of work with autism and things like that. Let me say, the reason that what we're offering is the truth and is the right ideas, because we're offering personal responsibility and personal liberty. We think that everyone has something to offer and you should be judged by your actions. I hate this victimhood mentality that you see coming from the left that says everyone's a victim, and anyone else who doesn't believe that, then like you said, we have to cage you. We have to censor your ideas. You're the oppressor if you don't buy into this ideology. So kudos to you for going out there and, doing what you can, achieving personally in life. That's all you could ask at the end of the day. You should reflect on what you yourself as an individual are doing. So I think that's awesome. It's the exact right mindset.
And that's what I've been doing is now that I'm my own independent person, I'm not going to let people try to trample over me anymore, because moving to Arizona has been something that I've been wanting to do for so long. And I moved here from a liberal state, which was Minnesota. And I just got tired of the state of Minnesota because of the snow and the way things were set up in a liberal state of mind. And now I'm my own person. I'm following my dreams. I'm going after what I want in life. And people still try to criticize me, thinking that I should still have a guardian. But I'm my own person. I can make my own choices. I don't need someone dialing commanded to me, thinking that I'm your robot to control. I don't need anyone to control me anymore, and especially the liberals here in America. And I just want to be able to live the life that I want, follow my hopes and dreams, and I even started a new job last month, back on January 20th, and it's my first real paid job in nearly 8 years. And as a person with autism, I'm making people see a difference, and they say that I'm a walking success story, and I find that as a compliment, because a lot of things I've been achieving has really been to people's surprise, including my brother.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for the call. Yeah, I think that to me sums up what makes this country great. Not, I joke around all the time. I might be the youngest person. Well, I don't know, Mike Nificent, you might be younger than me. I think it's amazing when I talk to older generations. They're like, yeah, you know how it used to be. Even if you had something in your life that was a problem, you kind of kept it to yourself. Now it's the exact opposite. It's, any problem you have, you want to shout to the world on your Facebook page or on your Twitter, because that makes you a victim. And that means that you get some sort of victimhood currency. So yeah, personal responsibility. That's how we get our country back. And thank you so much.
And don't let other people define you, or don't judge yourself based on what other people say. I mean, it's really best just to keep your eye on your goal and keep striving towards it, because otherwise you'll let those people talk you down and put you in a bad mood. So just ignore all that.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you, Dustin. That's all the callers in.
Yeah, it was the last one.
Okay.
There's one more in the queue if you want it.
It's
this one's on. It's a topic you didn't discuss tonight. It's on immigration from Johnny Cruz in Minnesota.
Sure, we can do it fast. Go ahead. You there, Johnny?
Hello? Yes, I am here.
Hey, you're live, Johnny.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
I'm calling in. I'd like to. I don't know. I'd like to just hear. I'm a new viewer today. I'd like to, hear your point of view on immigration to the U.S.
Well, American Joe, that's been.
How about Mike?
Yeah, anybody's opinion.
Which Mike?
Well, I'll give you my opinion. My opinion is pretty straightforward. I believe.
Nificent.
What's that?
We'll just go around the horn. I think we all go ahead, Joe.
Well, I think, I'm America first in pretty much everything in my perspective on everything. That's why I call myself American Joe. And I don't believe you can have a country without borders, without, sovereignty. So I believe immigration in any country should be well regulated and we should know who is coming across our border, period. And when 9 out of 10 people who apply for asylum in this country never appear for their hearing, that's an indicator. When we have hundreds of thousands of people flowing over our border, that's an indicator. When we've got drugs all over this country, that in every city across the land that came across that border, that's an indicator. We have a huge problem on our southern border. It's the number one security threat to our nation. So
would you say that our current immigration status is, would you say that you agree with it, like how it's been, let's say, for the past, since 2000? Would you agree with?
No, it's a disaster. No, it's a disaster. There's nothing we're doing.
Unmitigated.
Well, first of all, we have to 100% secure the border. 100%. We have to stop incentivizing people coming from other countries to here by offering them things like welfare, things like healthcare, things like driver's licenses. We need to stop waving the flag saying, yeah, come on over, sneak across the border and we'll protect you. You've got Democrats with the New Way Forward Act that actually want to go find people that were deported and are on our taxpayer dime. They want us to pay for their transport back into our country.
So do you think that the amount of people that we let in, do you think that the amount of people we've let in like the last 20 years, would you say that's about all right? Because we were
what do you mean?
1950.
What do you mean let in?
We've been allowed.
There's two things: legal immigration or illegal immigration. What are we talking about here?
We've had
legal or illegal.
Legal. We've let in about since 1950. We've let in about 70 million immigrants.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go back, right? So if you go back and you look at the original law, right, that they were talking about, I believe it was in the 60s, they promised people when they were passing this law, they said, oh, it's not going to be unfettered. We won't have like chain migration and things like that. It'll be very, very small. It won't be a huge change in demographics or anything like that. And it's actually been the exact opposite, not just legal immigration, but then when you factor on that we don't know by a quantity of almost 20 million how many illegal immigrants are here. Their estimates are anywhere from 11 million to about 27 million. So I think that it's designed, and you have to understand, I'm not against legal immigrants. The legal immigrants that came here and did the right thing, some of them are some of the best Americans I know, and our country should be looking out for their interests as well. But the system is flawed, and we accept too many legal immigrants.
No.
And it's not surprising because both the Republicans and the Democrats have a vested interest in that. The Democrats do want demographic change in votes. The Republicans want cheap labor for their donor class. And so that's why we've seen this be able to carry on for so long, because it depresses wages for middle and lower class people. And we're even seeing it now in white collar jobs where H-1B visas and things are, you literally have people working at these corporations in tech that are training cheaper workers from overseas that are here on H-1B visas to take their jobs. So the whole system, both legal and illegal. But that does not mean that I begrudge the legal immigrant. They did things the right way. I tip my cap to them, and I call them an American as well. But we need to change the law, and we should not be accepting this.
No, so I guess that's where I kind of disagree with you, is I guess that so I'm assuming that do you hold the standpoint that the point of view that if they're legal, it's all right? Like if they come here legally, it's all right?
Yeah. It's up to our government to set the law.
That's not where I disagree with you.
I think I know what he's getting at.
When they're coming here, they're not assimilating with us is the problem, and that the culture it causes cultural and racial tension that isn't good for our country, for our nation, and actually that whether it's legal or illegal, if it's mass immigration, it should not be happening, because the demographic change is not. It's causing horrible tensions culturally on Americans.
Well,
I agree with the caller. Actually, go ahead. I just want to chime in because I actually kind of agree with the caller, and I used to be. When I was new to politics, I used to just look at like legal versus illegal, and I was just towing that line of like, come do it the right way. But I'm like, no, the true American first statement is we need to curb all immigration. I'm not against legal immigrants, but we need to curb all of it, because he's right. They don't assimilate, and that ultimately they vote. Like, I think the numbers are 70+% of them vote Democrat anyway, and Democrats are for demographic changes. So it all is the same thing at the end of the day.
It's a cycle.
And when you factor in the fact that we're not, it's a cycle. And you factor in the fact that we are not taking care of American citizens. America first means American citizens first, period. The immigrants that are here need to be assimilated first. I mean, I'm tired of, I know this sounds super bigoted, but when you call the 1-800 number, it's like press 2 for Spanish. The language here, like we just need to be able to have the conversation. And a lot of people, even conservatives, shut that down.
When I was finishing up in North Chicago at the military base, I lived 45 minutes further away just because of the cultural language barrier. Every gas station I pulled in Waukegan, North Chicago, they didn't speak English. And I was just kind of felt like I needed to go further down, the road to, so it would make my life easier. I mean, so that's like you talk about assimilating, it was much more held to account in the past. So I agree on that aspect of, we need to shut down all of that right now and figure out, we need to quit having all the lotteries and all these extra beneficial things. We need to horn in. And if we continue to allow in, because we do $1 million a year, I think we've been doing since the 70s, legal process. And I think that's just gotten too rampant as well. I don't think people are.
I think some of them are they're rejecting the Christian European values that America was built and founded on, and as a whole, it's led to, and these people that come in are very tribal, and they stick together, and they do what's in their best interest. But the native residents here, we don't work together to do what's in our best interest. We're sort of divided because we're not bound together by the values that have been broken down, like the Christian European values that were instilled in this country and that we should have today. It's been broken down by immigration.
You look at immigration in foreign countries. Look at the foreign countries. Churches burnt or turned into mosque more so. So you can see this play out in other countries, right? A little bit more harsh than here, depending on immigration.
Yeah, but what I see, when I look around the world, though, I see countries that are predominantly one thing, like a Muslim country over here, an African country over here, and the culture within that country is very similar. You have smaller groups of people within that country, but for the most part, Iran is a Muslim nation. It's a Muslim culture. That's predominantly what it is. You might have some Christian people in there and some other small groups, but predominantly it is Muslim, and it's a war zone, right? And you look around the world and you see countries with one culture, they're war zones. They're war zones everywhere you look around the world. In America, and I agree, English should be the number one language, the only language we accept here. You should be forced to learn the language if you want to become a citizen of this country. But what I find fascinating is, you go to one city in our country, you look in 10 neighborhoods, you're going to find 10 different cultures from around the world that all hate each other. And we don't have war in the streets like you do in Africa, in the Middle East, where it's just a combat zone everywhere. Here, even with all that cultural collection of people, we still have a semblance of peace and order. And I find that fascinating.
Exactly, because it's European. It's because we were founded on Europeans that came and founded this country. They're very civilized people. And now that you can look around the world, where's all the mass immigration is going from to either America, or it's going all these European countries, and they're being destroyed by the mass immigration, cultural, demographic changes that are the result of just the mass immigration that's happening. And it's causing conflict. It causes racial conflict. It causes conflict amongst groups that are they're all trying to seek out their own common interests. And it's almost frowned upon that white people who make up the majority of this country, God forbid we wanted to do something. White people want to do something in their interests, and it's frowned upon. It's not allowed. But all these minority ethnic groups, they're all allowed to pursue their interests however they please, and they nothing is wrong with that. And then they start to take over our country and start to sell their religious and ethnic values that they have from their countries.
Well,
Yeah,
if I could just say a couple of things. One, I'm against identity politics. I think it's ridiculous when I see it in the left. I think it's ridiculous when I see, other racial groups want to involve in identity politics. So I do not support identity politics on my side either. The idea of, I agree with everything everyone's saying about we should basically stop legal immigrant, not just illegal, but legal immigration. What I'm saying, though, is that we should be careful to paint with too broad of a brush. Certainly, there is a huge problem with our government willfully, in my mind, accepting legal immigrants that they know will not assimilate. But that's a problem with our government. We need to vote. We need to get out there to make sure our government starts accepting better people, or preferably almost no one at all, because there's enough Americans that could fill these jobs. But I come from a small town in rural Pennsylvania. There's 4 or 5 immigrants that live in my town. They're some of the greatest Americans you'll ever know, because they're fleeing places that were hellholes, and they appreciate our freedom. They understand the idea of personal responsibility and liberty. So I hesitate to broad brush say all legal immigrants are refusing to assimilate. Certainly it's true of a lot, and I can only speak anecdotally of my small town, but I know there are places like Dearborn, Michigan, that's a nightmare, because you've brought in so many people, not just of Islamic faith, but of political Islamic faith, and it's made that place very, very difficult to be in. So I think we all agree, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I'm not going to look at my neighbor next door who happens to be a legal immigrant and say, it's your fault, you did something wrong. It's our government's fault. That's who did it wrong.
Well, hold on. I just want to chime in right here, because I'm not saying that this caller is saying, it's an immigrant's fault. It's all immigrants' fault. But I also understand the context in which he's making his argument, because he's from Minnesota, where I lived for 5 years. And I just disagree with him on one thing where he says, it's a racial thing. It's not totally a racial thing, because in Minneapolis, like I said, where I lived for 5 years, that's commonly referred to as Little Mogadishu. There's a reason you have Ilhan Omar in Congress, because you have so many Somalis that have migrated there, have been brought over as refugees. They absolutely 1000% do not assimilate, even amongst Black Americans that live in the Twin Cities. Yeah. So it's not totally racial. It's absolutely true. Same thing in Michigan. How do you think you got Rashida Tlaib? They call it Dearbornistan. It's true. And a lot of people that are being brought over purposely, like you see in Europe with the Syrian refugee crisis created by Obama, those people do not assimilate in groups. Yes, there's some few out there that will assimilate and say, yes, I'm a European culture, American culture, or whatever. But for the most part, no, they're bringing over their culture, their values. Look at what look at the rule that they changed so that Ilhan Omar could wear her hijab in Congress. Yes, this is true. So we need to be cognizant of that. We need to be able to have these conversations and stop bending the knee to the left with this political correctness. And I'm sure a lot of people in chat have to understand that and acknowledge that is the truth.
Refugees are ripped out of their places, by the way. Why would they want to assimilate? It's different than refugees are normally told, you need to get out of here. It's not safe. We don't want to leave. None of them ever want to leave their area, but it is, they'll end up leaving. And then, so I don't know. It's rough on that aspect.
They found that in the UK as well. Back in the 70s, you had a lot of immigration from Jamaica. Those Jamaican immigrants that came they're basically British. They fit right in. They totally assimilated. To just a generation or two later, they fit right in. But then people that, quote, look like them, that have a similar racial makeup, come in the form of these refugees. The former Jamaican British people, they're appalled. They're disgusted by what they see from the, quote, refugees that are coming in. So it's not along racial lines like you're saying, Mike. It's definitely, it has to do with...
but the show has ended. Thank you for calling from Freedom 4.
We hear you, but but great call. And Mike,
that wasn't me. I apologize. I was closing the call line and it bled through.
But yeah, it's a great, and there are little disagreements we get at, but I think we're ultimately all agreeing. And by the way, caller, if you're still there, I'm not saying that you were saying every legal immigrant is bad or anything. When you said you disagreed with me, I was just clarifying. I agree that if it was up to me, we would completely stop legal immigration until it's absolutely proven that we're ready to accept more. and we need to ensure English is our language. We need to ensure assimilation and people understand the Constitution and go by it. So, all right, real quick.
One last thing about that. We need to ensure that our citizenship continues to mean something, because more and more it's like illegals get more benefits than American citizens do. So what does it even matter to be an American citizen? What does that even mean?
Hey, and Rob, do you mind? Can I throw in one last thing on that?
Sure.
I know. I just wanted to say, shameless plug. If you go over to bordercommand.com, that's bordercommand.com. Go down to the last. It's the fourth player. It says Border Wars, the book. There's an interview I just did recently with Stephen Camarata of Center for Immigration Studies. He's a numbers guy. He's been doing this stuff for 25 years. But on the point of assimilation, he brought up something I never thought of, which was that in the time we live in today versus the early 1900s and before, all the way up really through the 60s and then to today, is technology plays a big part in this. This is why it is very hard to assimilate people in a technological world, because they come here before you made a decision. You were leaving your homeland. You were leaving your culture. You were leaving everything behind. Now, the moment you get here, you're connected over the phone, the internet, and everything else. So you never really have to give up your culture and adopt the American culture. And that's why you see now we don't really have an American culture anymore, because it's just become a diverse, multicultural society. So I'd recommend anyone who's really interested. You know, Steve's been an expert on this. He's a nonpartisan guy. He just studies numbers and policy. And it's a really good interview with him.
All right.
All right. Well, so we'll be wrapping up. That was Dustin. He produces this show. It's a thankless job. I pick on him all the time for it. But no, he did great tonight. His channel is also linked in my description, so please check it out. So I just want to give a plea one more time. Thank you. All the calls were great. I had a great time tonight. Please check out my description. Follow everyone that you like here on Dlive. Follow them on YouTube. Check out their channels. I really implore you. It's important to support independent content creators. So we'll go around the horn here, and everyone could say one last piece if they want. So American Joe, anything to say in closing?
Well, I did get a text message from Joe Biden, and he asked me if we shut down the borders and don't allow immigration, who's going to make his Frosty freeze at the 7-Eleven down the street? So I said, I don't know. Apparently only Indian people make those. So, yep, got to keep the borders open for Mr. Biden. Sorry, guys.
That sounds like Joe, too. Alyssa Milano, remember, she said, who will mow my yard? But they're great people, trust me. Patriot Hour, do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Yeah, again, just folks, subscribe to everyone here on the panel tonight. It's a great group. Everyone's hitting things on their own, what they can bring to give us truth. And it's a rough world full of a sea of lies, all right? So, connect your own dots, watch everyone you can, listen to everything you can, but believe nothing until you can verify it. So that'll always do you right in the end. Verify it. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah. And hopefully I'll be on your show again soon, Patriot. I always have a blast doing that. Mike Nificent, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me on your panel. This was a great discussion. I know that we covered so many topics, and to be fair, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot to uncover and unpack. And I think it's really important that people focus on areas of interest of them. Like for me, I don't really focus too much on Andrew McCabe and all that stuff, but that's not to say it's not important. It's just not in my wheelhouse. And for those that liked what I had to say about immigration, this is something that I don't talk enough about, but I will be doing some kind of live stream or video about it, because political correctness has caused us to not be able to even have the conversation. So everybody that wants to, just find me on YouTube. I'm also on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And let's get Trump reelected.
Well said. Yeah. And again, all the links are in the description to this video. So Mike's links are there. So yeah, fantastically said. Dronetek, you want to close it out?
Oh, yeah. I just, like everyone else, wanted to thank you for letting me be on here with you guys. These guys are all great talents. I'm nowhere near their level, especially when it comes to live streaming here. But I do appreciate that they let me come along. If you distrust the media, come to my channel, check out what I'm doing every day, or I try to do every day. the media is not to be trusted. I tell people to just turn off your TV, because that's really the best way to deal with them. And yeah, just I'd like you to come and check me out. And yeah, thanks for bringing me on.
Oh, and thank you very much. And I forgot, we switched channels, or we switched videos, so there won't be any links in the description, which, like a fool, I've been saying the whole time. I promise you, as soon as this video's done, I will edit and put those links in the description. So as soon as this is done, if you check it out, all of the links will be there in the description, I promise you. Also, thank you to everyone who gave super chats. I was afraid to bring up the channel while I was live streaming because I thought I would crash or something, but I've heard that there were a lot, so thank you. I have it up now. If people want, I could do my carnival barker routine. If everyone wants to quickly type where they're from, we'll have American Joe and Dronetek see how well I do, how many I miss. I'll try to as fast as I can.
I can't see I don't see the live chat on YouTube right now. I can only see what's going on DLive still.
Okay. Well,
I got it.
All right. So we got Colorado, Pennsylvania, Oregon, Mordor, Timbuktu, Mordor, Oklahoma, Ohio. Oh, it's going slow tonight. Kazakhstan. I don't believe that. Freedom Force TV. I'll let them build up a little. That do a little faster. North Carolina, Montana, Virginia, Oregon, Indiana, North Carolina, Louisiana, North Carolina, Michigan, Russia, Texas, Delaware, Minnesota, Jersey for quite some time, Iowa, Stephen, laughing. Oh, I won't say that curse word. Michigan, Illinois, faster. You got to type faster, Kenneth. Montana, Florida, Uranus says SJG, Louisiana, Texas, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, Texas. That's good enough. I think people are getting tired of typing. Next time I'm on American Joe's show, he's got more people watching. I'll nail it. So, no, you guys were the best. Thank you so much. I thought this panel was great.
I did want to tell people to follow me on Twitter. If you like seeing, I always pick fights with media people on Twitter. Sometimes they respond to me, so follow me on Twitter for that.
All right. Well, I might be doing a live stream in like 15 minutes after this, so if anyone's interested, you can check that out. Please, please, please. I'm going to immediately put the description. It's in the description, everyone's channel. Please check everyone out. So thank you so much, American Joe, Patriot Hour, Mike Nificent, Dronetek. Matt, sorry you couldn't be here tonight, but your picture was awesome anyways. So thank you so much to all of our supporters out there. And as always,